Guys, so you're looking to incorporate your food business, but you're thinking to yourself, which is the best for me and how should I start one? Should it be an LLC? Should it be a sole proprietorship? There's actually 4 variations I'm going to cover in this video, and I'm going to explain to you the benefits and some of the drawbacks of these 4 ways to incorporate your food business. Guys, it's Damien from Marketing Food Online, and as I was mentioning in that intro there, we are going to cover the 4 different ways that you can actually incorporate your food business and some of the benefits and some of the drawbacks that each one of these do have. Now, it's going to be varied based upon your situation. And as a really quick disclaimer, I am not an accountant, I am not a lawyer, but I'm simply going to explain to you these 4 different ways that you can incorporate your business. So please take this as advice, not as a legal advice or advice from an accountant. Now, I personally have an LLC, number 3 there. But I'm going to go through the list and talk to you about what each of the 4 mean, because I know many of you are very new to business, and being a small startup food business, there are risks and there are liabilities that you need to be aware of, but they are not there to stop you from starting your business. So please do not get afraid or scared of starting a business when I explain the different liabilities and benefits of these. You need to create your business and move forward, okay? I have 350 videos that will show you all the things you need to know about starting a food business, so you need to be assured of yourself and simply do it, okay? With that motivational speech done, I'm going to start with number 1. I can't point behind me, but number 1 here, sole proprietorship. The sole proprietorship is actually one of the easiest formations of a business that you can do legally. The entity itself will allow you to create what's known as a DBA, that is doing business as. Now what that means is you create a name for your business and you're doing business as, let's say, Susie's Cookies, okay? Then you go to a bank and you open up a business checking account with the DBA name. There it is. The DBA, and you put that on the account, and you can actually utilize your own line of credit, your own credit card, your personal credit cards and stuff to start the business for business expenses and such, and there are tax benefits for business expenditures, okay? And again, all this information, please speak to your tax accountant for more specific details about this. Again, I am not giving you accounting advice at all. I don't want to be held responsible for accounting advice. I am simply explaining the different formations of the business. So, now there are a couple of drawbacks though. Sole proprietorships, when they are formed that way, they do open you up to liability on a personal level as well as the business. So if something were to happen, you could personally be liable for that situation, whatever that situation is. And then, of course, your legal business entity, your DBA, would also be held responsible for it as well. So it is the easiest way to start, but remember, the risk factor is quite great when you open a sole proprietorship if something were to happen. So from a personal standpoint, your home, your personal things and stuff could actually eventually be litigated in a sense, and it could be an issue where you could lose that stuff. So just be aware of that type of risk. Now, the next one is partnership. Now, a partnership, okay guys, so the partnership, which is also known as, I had to make a little notation there, general partnership. If you are going to create a business with another person, you don't necessarily have to file papers to make that agreement legal. You need to spell it out on a document, and you both have to sign it and agree to it. And of course, keep in mind that any document that is signed by 2 separate parties is a binding agreement. So what you would still need to do, this doesn't mean that you don't have to file any paperwork. You do need to have a business license, of course, and that is going to be dependent upon the city and county where you are in your state. Okay, now those are different types of documents that would need to be filed. That has nothing to do with filing papers of incorporation, but you do need to have business licenses and of course food inspection license and permits. That's a separate video. Actually, that's a separate few videos. So a partnership in general basically breaks it down that you and someone else agree upon your ownership in that company, okay? And you want to clearly write that out. I would highly recommend, I'm sure many of you watching are not lawyers, I would highly recommend that you find a lawyer to specifically spell that out and make it a legal document with kind of some legal jargon, some legal words, if you will. You can still create one yourself if you and a good friend of yours really want to create that food business and you have a great product, you're super excited about it, wonderful. spell it out on paper and make sure you both have copies, and I would recommend that you have a lot of copies. Put them in different places so you do not lose them, because down the road, if something were to happen, you need to have that documentation to prove your side, okay? So a partnership, again, which is known as a general partnership, basically an agreement of two parties that are going and entering into business, okay? Remember, you do still have to have business licenses and food permits and whatever it is that you need on the other side of that, okay? So the next one, LLC, which stands for Limited Liability Corporation. That is the type of entity that I am actually have formed in my candy business, and that limits the liability factor for your business, okay? And what that means exactly, okay, so it's very similar to a partnership. It actually protects the personal assets of both parties. So if you were in a joint venture and you had two separate people entering into a business and they wanted to create an LLC, from a liability standpoint, if somebody were to make this referable to a food business, you actually, if someone were to get sick or had an allergic reaction and there was some litigation involved, some legal aspects, your business, your personal items and your personal belongings, your personal assets would not be able to be brought into it, only what you have in the business itself, okay? And again, another disclaimer, double check again with your accountant and find out what it is the best way to form your business for you. Because to be honest with you, these 4 different variations of formations, creating these business entities, I can explain what they are, but in a lot of different states and a lot of different ways, those tax benefits, if it's home-based, if it happens to be in a commercial facility, there's a lot of variables. So it would be beneficial to clearly understand your own perspective and your own situation, your own circumstances, and then see which one of these would best apply, okay? For me, an LLC was something that was best for us. So the last one is corporation. Now, corporation is something, and when you're starting a small food business, I personally wouldn't exactly jump up and down about doing that just yet. If your business scaled and you grew that into something that was a multi-million-dollar business and you wanted to have an IPO, and then you've got stocks and you've got directors, board directors, and you've got members, and you've got all kinds of like an executive board and such, that's where it becomes a little more complicated. So right out of the get-go, I don't know of a lot of friends of mine who have food businesses. A lot of them have not really ever started as a corporation, but you can down the road change the type of entity that you have and you can create a corporation. Now, there's also tax issues that come involved with what you can claim and what you can't claim. It becomes, for lack of a better term, a little sticky situation, no pun intended. It just becomes really sticky, and in food businesses, they don't necessarily do that off the bat, okay? A lot of them start with the smaller type of formation, the sole proprietorships, even LLCs, because you really want to kind of protect your personal assets and such. And of course, the corporation is a separate entity completely, but corporations are a little more complicated in regards to the formation of them. So my own opinion, the first 3, probably your best way to start a food business, and then down the road, you can evolve into one of these. So I hope that clarifies some basic understandings about formations of food business entities. Try to figure out, again, what is going to be your best for you. If you're starting at home and you want to protect yourself, you may want to do one of the first 3, okay? Figure out what is good and beneficial, because a lot of home-based businesses, if you are paying a mortgage or you have water bill, and part of that water bill is going to be used because you're making food at home, that water bill, your electric bill, even your internet and phone bill, because you may be also running a business at home and you're using the phone, you use the internet most of the time to fill orders or promote products. A lot of these are deductible. They're items that can be deducted as business expenses. But again, check with the person you're doing your accounting with and specifically explain to them what you are doing, how you're doing it, and they'll give you more specific information as to the accounting aspects of it, because I'm not an accountant at all. So keep that in mind, and you do have a lot of benefits with a home-based business. You also have a lot of benefits in general with starting a small food business. So at the end of the day, the first part of my message was, don't let this scare you. Don't let this push you away, because you're thinking to yourself, liability, risk, liability. Listen, everything in your life from day one to the end of the days, everything has risk in it, okay? And if you focus too much on the risk, that risk will scare you, fill you with fear about something, and keep you from doing your business, keep you from pursuing something that could be something that you could be really passionate about just because of the liability and such. That's why we have insurance. That's why we have these types of entity formations, okay, to take that liability off your shoulders and help you focus on creating your business. Don't let these scare you. Don't let any of this push you away from the idea of starting your food business. Just take it one step at a time and do it. Every single day, make one type of movement towards your business, creating it, forming the business, incorporating, getting your insurance. If you have to call up a package company, if you're watching some of my amazing videos, whatever it may be, please don't let that deter you from pursuing your goal of having a food business. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to keep it short and sweet as I always do. If my videos were helpful, give me a big old thumbs up. And if you have any questions about these formations, again, just let me know down below. As always, I will get to your